Good evening, everyone. I call to order the regular meeting of the Victoria City Council. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on our agenda tonight is announcements. The City Council will hold a joint workshop with the Planning Commission on Monday, October 11th at 5:30 p.m. to receive an update on the Downtown West project, the city-owned 13.5-acre parcel. Additionally, a second joint workshop with the Planning Commission will be held on Monday, November 8th at 5 p.m. for a panel discussion with the Urban Land Institute to discuss affordable housing. Budget discussions will continue with the Council holding its next budget workshop on Monday, November 22nd at 5 p.m. to discuss capital projects and the city's 5-year capital improvement plan. All meetings of the City Council are open to the public and held in the Council chambers at City Hall unless otherwise noted. We encourage anyone wanting to attend our Council meetings or workshops in person to contact our City Clerk in advance. Thank you. We also have a proclamation this evening, and I will read that on behalf of the Council at the dais. Proclamation 2021-04, a proclamation to recognize October 3rd through 9th, 2021 as Fire Prevention Week. Whereas fire is a serious public safety concern and the City of Victoria is committed to the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Victoria. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are locations where people are at greatest risk from fire. And whereas the Victoria Fire Department responded to 24 fires in 2020, and whereas economic loss due to fire in Victoria is at an estimated $1.3 million in 2020. And whereas smoke alarms sense smoke well before you can, alerting you to danger in the event of fire in which you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape safely. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half. And whereas residents should be sure everyone in the home understands the sounds of alarms and knows how to respond. And whereas residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and that will therefore more likely survive a fire. And whereas residents will make sure their smoke and CO alarms meet the needs of all their family members, including those with sensory or physical disabilities. And whereas first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education, which I think I just read that twice because it was so important. And whereas residents are responsive to public education measures, are better able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas the 2021 Fire Prevention Week theme, Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety, effectively remains to remind us it is important to learn the different sounds of smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Deb McMillan of the City of Victoria, do hereby proclaim October 3rd through the 9th, 2021 as Fire Prevention Week and urge all citizens of Victoria to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the Victoria Fire Department and other emergency service organizations. With us this evening, we have Fire Chief Andrew Hager. Andrew, do you have anything to add?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you. I'll be real brief. Also with me tonight, Assistant Chiefs Shoger and Close. This year's looked a little bit different for us as far as our typical fire prevention activities. Tonight, we normally would have hosted our open house, but again, with the COVID pandemic, we elected to forego that. And again, we're planning for next year to get back on track with that. We're going to look at doing some virtual options and some other outreach opportunities to really help drive that fire prevention messaging across the community. So again, just thank you for the recognition and the proclamation.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we have a wonderful resource in the chief here in Victoria, so please reach out to the Victoria Fire Department if you have any questions, and the fire chief can help direct you.
Perfect.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to our next item, and that is open forum. Open forum is the opportunity for anyone to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda and not in application form that will be coming to the council at a future date. There are no registered speakers this evening. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the council? Anyone who wishes to address the council? Seeing no one, our next order of business is to adopt the final agenda. Council, is there a motion to adopt the final agenda?
Motion to adopt the final agenda.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are routine, administrative, and don't require deliberation, or are housekeeping items required by law. Consent agenda items are approved with one vote unless someone requests an item to be considered separately. Ms. Hardy, does staff have anything they'd wish to pull from the consent agenda?
None from staff, Madam Mayor.
Council, any members of the council who wish to pull an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a member of the audience who would like to pull an item for a separate discussion? Seeing no changes, council, may I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Motion to adopt.
Can I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We now move on to our regular agenda. We have just one item on our regular agenda this evening. 6.1, a public hearing accepting a cable franchise application from CMN-RUS doing business as MetroNet. Presenting this evening is Community and Economic Development Director, Mr. Dahl.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Yes, we are here this evening to review a application for a cable franchise submitted by MetroNet. Just a little bit of background, which is we discussed this in a little bit of detail when we issued our notice for accepting franchises, but as a reminder, the Victoria City Council does serve as the local cable franchising authority for the city of Victoria. In that capacity, the council is who issues cable franchises. We as a city represent residents on issues related to cable television and cable company use of public rights of way. Mediacom is currently the only cable franchise holder in Victoria, but cable franchises are not exclusive. So multiple companies or organizations can request a cable franchise within our jurisdiction. So a little bit of background on MetroNet. They recently acquired Jaguar Communications, and Jaguar currently provides some internet phone service in Victoria through their infrastructure, which is now MetroNet. So Jaguar is not a new company to Victoria, but their new ownership group, MetroNet, is relatively new to Minnesota. As we discussed previously, MetroNet is interested in a full fiber build-out within Victoria and a number of other communities within Minnesota. So as part of that, they do wish to provide cable television service and need a cable franchise to be able to do that. So we issued our request to accept cable franchise applications, and MetroNet did submit a application on September 8th of this year. So just again, another reminder on that process for considering a cable franchise. It is very prescriptive through state and federal law. The first step is to authorize and publish that notice of intent to accept applications. That was authorized by the City Council on August 9th. The notice was published twice in the legal newspaper as is required on August 19th and August 26th. The next step is then to receive any applications and hold a public hearing. So that is what we are here for this evening, is to accept that application and conduct a public hearing. And then staff will be recommending that staff be authorized to continue negotiations of that cable franchise, which would then be brought back to the council again at a later date for consideration. MetroNet's application was reviewed by the city attorney. There was a memo from the city attorney's office included in your background packet and deemed qualified to obtain a cable franchise and operate a cable system in Victoria based on their legal, financial, and technical qualifications. some of the highlights of that application, which its details will be negotiated. MetroNet would intend to provide 3 tiers of cable television service, more than 170 channels, high definition, video on demand, DVR, et cetera. Their network would be IPTV over fiber. They do propose to provide service to up to 85% of the city as part of their initial service area. They would intend to provide franchise fee and PEG, public education and government, television fees to the city. They would provide a PEG channel for the city to utilize for broadcasting of meetings and such as we do currently with Mediacom. They are including a proposal for free basic video service to agreed upon public locations. And just as a note, they do currently hold cable franchises in Florida, Indiana, Iowa, Ohio, Texas, and Minnesota. So with that, Mayor, pursuant to state law, which establishes that process for local franchise authorities, the City Council is to hold a public hearing as part of this process. During the public hearing, the applicant would have an opportunity to present their application materials, although it does not appear that the applicant is present this evening. Council is also able to ask any questions and take comments or feedback from the public. So with that, Mayor, I will turn it over to you to conduct the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Dahl. This is a public hearing, so with that, I will now open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this item?
I would say long time coming.
Okay, hold your thought there. Okay. Councilmember. Let's see if there's any members of the public. So again, any member of the public wishing to speak to this item? And last time, any member wishing to speak to this item? Seeing no one, I would like to close the public hearing. Now, open the floor for the council to discuss. Now, Councilmember Black.
Okay, long time coming.
Very good. Any other questions or comments from council?
Will we get channel 11 without having to go to our antenna?
I don't know if Mr. Dahl knows the answer to that, and I see no one else here that could help us with that.
Well, Mediacom can't help us with that, I know that.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
Mayor?
Yes, please.
Two real brief comments about
Yes,
this.
Attorney Vos.
As Marty's memo points out, this is one of the areas that I hold myself out as knowing what I'm talking about, so I should say something about this stuff. And there's just the two things real quick. Let's not get lost in the shuffle that the proposal to have a fiber to the home network, a fiber to the premises network, which is really what they're proposing here, that's a big deal, right? That's a unique thing. Traditionally, telecom networks have not been fiber either at all. They've been twisted pair or other non-fiber technologies, or hybrid fiber and then typically coax cable to the home. And those impose bottlenecks. You can't push as much information through non-fiber portions of those traditional networks. So don't quote me on this, but I'm going to say it out loud anyway. People talk about fiber to the home networks being sort of future-proof because you can put through so much bandwidth that whatever new applications come along, theoretically, you should be able to pass through a network that is fiber to the premises. So that's very exciting, I think, for your community, number one. And then number two, I just want to acknowledge, Marty, that we've received a couple of communications from Mediacom, from your incumbent provider. And to summarize those greatly, they of course, have not elected to be here tonight and comment outside of, they have commented outside of the hearing. They haven't decided to come here tonight. Essentially, their comments are that they want the opportunity to weigh in on any final deal that we negotiate. If you move forward tonight and approve the application, you're going to be also directing staff to negotiate the final deal with MetroNet. They've said they want the opportunity to comment on that, and they want to hold open your public hearing. I'm not advising you to do that, and the reason is, number one, legally, the point of the public hearing, of course, is to inform you and inform us as staff what to negotiate for. So to the extent Mediacom would have comments about that, they should make them during the public hearing, not later on in the process. And then the other point is that, in fact, they will have that opportunity. Cable franchises are unique little animals. They're really contracts, they're negotiated agreements, but they're also enacted as ordinances. And so, as you know, when we have ordinances or ordinance amendments, we're required by law to make those available at least 10 days before you act on them. So everybody, the public here and MediaCom, will have the opportunity to see the final document and be able to weigh in. You always consider comments you would receive on an ordinance that you're going to consider. So sort of for both reasons, I think you ought to go ahead and close the hearing and take action tonight. And part of that action will be directing staff to come back with something that gets negotiated.
Terrific. Thank you. Questions for Mr. Bose?
No, but it is a big deal, and competition is a good thing.
Yes.
And opening up competition within the community, and maybe it always seems to help with service, so happy that we've got this opportunity.
Marty, do we have any sense of when they would be ready to be selling services here in Victoria?
Mayor McMillan, members of the council, I know that they're very interested in moving forward. In fact, they've inquired on the staff and attorney level several times about wanting to get started negotiating a cable franchise, and we wanted to hold off on doing that until their application was formally accepted and we followed all of the processes. So I would anticipate that we'll start those discussions very soon, and then I might punt over to Attorney Vos. I know he's reviewed some of the proposals they've provided in the past. I don't think there's any major issues that we have identified, at least currently, that would be major roadblocks. So it'll depend on the negotiation process.
Yeah, and just, Mayor, if I may, just to follow up on that, the typical thing that you see in communities that get the good news that there is going to be a competitor in telecom and cable services, the big issue typically is the competitor will frequently not be prepared to serve an entire community. They'll want to, some folks would say cherry pick, but however you describe it, take a part of the community, maybe the more densely populated part of the community to serve, and then in the hopes that they will later serve the entire community. That is essentially not the case here at all. MetroNet intends to serve a very high percentage of your community sort of from the get-go. So again, that's another little bit of good news, I think, about the nature of their application. So, and to your point, Mayor, as to the other issues that we care about most, franchise fees, the funding that these companies provide, and then support for community programming, what we've got on TV here tonight, on both those counts, the application indicates that they're going to match or effectively match what MediaCom does. So you're right, we don't see an issue.
Do you have any sense of give us an example of how long this negotiation is. Are we looking at months? Are we looking at weeks? Are we looking at?
Yeah, so Marty and I, in his prior position with another city, worked through a renewal, a re-upping of a contract, and of course MediaCom has asked for that with their contract. Those negotiations can take a while because the cable operator or the city on the other side may say, we have a current deal and we want to make some fundamental changes to that deal. So we're going to toss that deal out and sort of start over. When you've got a competitor coming in, though, and there is an existing agreement in place, that really serves as the template for the new competitor. So theoretically, at least, there isn't really that much. I mean, I don't want to tell you there's not that much to negotiate, but there isn't that much to negotiate. So we will have a few issues we'll need to work through, but no, I think we should be able to get it done in a month or two. Would take a long time if it was 2 months. So it should be pretty quick.
All right, very good.
Ted,
Yes, Councilmember
just to
Anderson.
follow up on your comment about the percentage of the population that it's going to reach, 85%. Would that be, or would that just be logical to think that they're following current infrastructure that we have in place right now? And so 85, the other 15% are currently running on probably older infrastructure that we just can't get to. Would that be fair enough to be in some of the more outside of town?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, I mean, I think that's a logical inference. I don't know that I've kind of, in a granular way, looked at their proposed mapping. I will tell you that among that relatively short list of things we're going to need to talk about, this is probably item number one, is 85%, give or take. That sounds like a good number, but exactly where the 15% is and when the 15% gets served, if at all, and under what terms, I mean, that's something that the staff is going to have to work through with the company a little bit.
Right.
So, but I think it's a fair inference that, yes, it's probably in the not new developments in some of the older parts that have been annexed or are just older parts of town where infrastructure has not gotten.
Love to find out what the answers to that 15% question is.
Right.
Council, other questions?
No, I looked at the map that they provided, and it looked like they're going to run down Marsh Lake Road, which would be very beneficial because I think they still have dial-up or something there. So I think it's a great thing that's happening.
All right. Anything else? Council? All right. Seeing nothing else, we're looking for two separate motions this evening. So can I have the first motion, please?
Motion to adopt resolution accepting cable franchise application from CMN RUS Inc., DBA MetroNet, and direct staff and city attorney to negotiate franchise terms.
We have a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Second motion, please.
That was part, he did both of them.
Oh, he did it. Okay, so is that all right? All right, terrific. So we should be all set to go there. We have no more agenda items to come before the council tonight. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, wait a second.
Reports.
Forgot about the reports. Attorney Vols, do you have any reports?
Mayor and council, I do not. Thank you.
All right, terrific. Ms. Hardy, anything from staff?
None from staff, Madam Mayor.
All right, members of the council, anything from any of you?
I just have one thing.
Yes, Councilmember Gunderson.
Today's 13 years for my wife and I, and
Congratulations.
somehow she's let me sleep in the big bed for 19 years. We've been married 13 of those, so just wanted to say happy anniversary to her. And even though she's not in town tonight, but
I hope she watches this and sees that very lovely.
Aw.
I'll probably get a nasty text because she hates being the center of attention. But
Congratulations to you and to Jess.
thanks.
All right, anything else, council?
And I just wanted to congratulate Chanhassen for being the best place to live in the U.S. right now.
Yes,
Hopefully we'll be next.
yes. Mayor Ryan is insufferable about that, but no, congratulations. I said Mayor Ryan is insufferable about that, but yes, congratulations to our
Oh, really?
neighbor to the east, Chanhassen, the best place to live. So if you don't want to live there, come on a little further west and come live with us.
Yeah.
All right, there's nothing else from council, nothing from staff. Now let's have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.